Not so long ago, my story began with how I wanted to create this channel and how I always wanted to be a part of something special. Lo and behold, I had the chance to touch the hearts of more people than I ever thought possible, than I ever imagined. Because you guys saw something special in me. I can remember when this YouTube channel had 150 subscribers, which many of you probably have at this moment. But don't worry, you will get to the point where you will see thousands of people eventually subscribe here because it happened for me. Because you are probably one of those people that made it happen for me. You made all of my dreams come true. And don't worry, that day will come for you when you have thousands of people and you won't know what quite to make of it. I experienced that because of Descendants of Zombies and how dedicated this niche was to the people they loved. And I saw that undoubtedly in your hearts. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create something special for all of you. And at that moment that I wanted to create something special for all of you, I had no idea how I would ever be able to do it. I just put all of my money, all of my time, all of my incredible effort behind a channel that I could only hope was going to be a hit or miss. Because that's really all this channel ever was a hit or miss for me. It was either go big or go home. So I took all of my money, I went to the bank and I took it a grant and I put everything behind what I believed in, which eventually became Descendants of Zombies because all of you were very passionate about it. I had no idea that this channel would have gone on to become one of everybody's favorites and people would have stayed with me from the very beginning, but they have. I will never forget the first 150 subscribers that showed up here on this channel, hit my subscribe button, and were forever passionate about who they loved, which began with Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron was the girl where my story began because I saw something special in her. Then along came Kylie Cantrell and Malia Baker and Ruby Rose Turner, who I had followed the career of for a considerable amount of time. And I loved Ruby so much for just how genuinely kind the girl was. I don't really think there's an unkind bone in Ruby's body that Ruby possesses. Because in every room that Ruby ever stepped foot into, she not only brought the best out of herself, but everybody she had the chance to work with. On the set of a TV show, a movie such as Descendants of Zombies, she always brought the best out of not only herself, but everybody she may have believed in and everybody that she worked with. And that's what I found so admirable about Ruby, because I've always believed that Ruby made me a better person and into the person that I am today. I am a stronger person because of your favorite characters, and you too, likewise, are a stronger person, a stronger individual because of your favorite characters. This channel has come a long way in helping people become stronger, realizing their destinies and achieving their dreams. Many people don't realize it until it happens for them. But this channel is one of the biggest reasons why people are achieving their dreams, setting goals for themselves, and having higher aspirations in life, because this channel made a believer out of all of us. And beautiful stories that we cherished about Red and Chloe and how their friendship meant more to them than life could ever imagine. And how it took them further, took them to places they never imagined they would get to because they believed in each other. They may have never believed in each other right away from off the bat, but eventually they would learn to appreciate each other and be there for each other every step of the way. Which happens for a lot of us because the people who come into our lives really offer us no explanation as to why they're a part of our lives. All we know is that we want to be the best of friends with them. And that's all you've ever known. Growing up around Descendants of Zombies, seeing these wonderful larger-than-life characters who are some of the strongest people you've ever witnessed. And you want to be just as strong as them. And you want to be forever confident. And I've never ever wanted to take that away from you. I've wanted to bestow that in all of your minds, that anything could ever possibly happen for you. If you've ever had a dream, you should continue to believe in that dream and continue to follow your passions. And that's all I've ever wanted to be a part of. I get comments all the time from people who achieve their dreams. People who are feeling let down because of something happening to them. And I've always wanted you to know that everything was going to be okay, because that's what we saw happen in the stories of Descendants of Zombies. No matter what you may be going through, everything was going to be fine and you were going to shine on through. Because we outshined the criticism. When Kylie Cantrell was feeling downhearted because of how people were taking exception to such things as her relationship, her political point of view about Donald Trump, we did something about that. And we gave Kylie Cantrell a reason to believe in herself more than ever before. I can't say that I really agreed with the critics, and I really felt for Kylie. I had a soft place in my heart for Kylie, and I wanted Kylie to know that everything was going to be okay. And I had no idea how I would ever get through to Kylie, but I believe I have because of all of you. I would just like to say thank you so much to everybody who had been with me from the very beginning, from the initial video that was ever uploaded here. I know sometimes that my predictions and my theories may be really far out there about alien invasions and such things as zombie apocalypses, but you can never be too prepared. I never know what I'm going to say every time I push record, and people probably don't even know how I come up with the things that I do because they seem so unrealistic. But it's said that legends are built on stories that are so unrealistic, almost too hard to believe. And if there ever was a legend who's going to go down in history, I am one of them, ladies and gentlemen, because of you. I'm one of the greatest legends and one of the greatest stories ever told because you believed in me. And here's the thing. While you may be told that you will never have a chance of becoming a legend, you surely do have a chance of becoming a legend because all you ever have to do is believe in yourself and your dreams. Because when you believe in yourself and your dreams, that's what leads you to becoming a stronger person, like what happened for Red. Red was a person who all she ever wanted to do was paint the town red, no matter how many times her mother took exception to it. And I know that for every single person who watches these videos, we all have critics who try to hold us down from achieving our dreams or anything we set our minds to. But I think encouragement is what really set the tone and the vibe for Descendants of Zombies, especially this new franchise and characters from within it, because they were there for each other every step of the way. And the one thing that was forever constant was they believed in themselves. So that's why I themed this YouTube channel around believing in yourself, offering you encouragement that anything that seemed impossible could and would happen for you, no matter how long it took you, because some people achieve their dreams, their goals, and their aspirations ever before you do. But you come a long way because being the fastest person on the track never ensures that you are the last one or never going to win. It just lets you know that when you do finish the race, you come through stronger than ever before. And you outshine your critics and you prove people wrong. And that's exactly what Red and Chloe did. Because even when they went back in time and they altered the fabric of it, they may have to face consequences, but some of those consequences and what they created are some of the most beautiful things that they ever imagined possible, like Red having a sister for the first time ever. That gave her a great deal of appreciation to understand what life was really all about, what the true meaning of life was for all of us. And what they did when they created a villain, because they had a new adversary and more challenges they had to overcome. And now with the Kingdom Cup games finding their way into Oregon, what do you think that does? It leaves the door more widely open than ever before to explore new characters and new adventures that we've never heard written about before, we've never seen before our very eyes. And that's what makes Descendants of Zombies so special to bear witness to this coming summer. The summer of 2026 is going to be marvelous. And it's going to be something that we are never, ever going to forget. And I'm so excited to be a part of it with all of you. We also have Camp Rock 3 to look forward to, and I'm really excited about that too, because it's been about 15 years since we've seen a Camp Rock movie. The thing is, no matter who you are, what your story is, or where you come from, what you're all about, I know that you're a great person. And I just wanted to encourage that in every video that I may have ever uploaded about Descendants of Zombies, because that's what you don't see or get from other content creators. Because Descendants of Zombies was a very relatable franchise, and that's what made it stand out amongst all the rest, was that it was a very relatable franchise that made you feel connected to it and made you feel a part of it most of all. Because you felt like you were wandering through the forest of Oregon yourself, and you met all these wonderful characters, and ever since you met those wonderful characters, you wanted to be just like them, because you saw heroes in them. And forgive me, but I always wanted to be everybody's favorite Descendants character to go down in history for having been a hero, or a character like Van Helsing, whose job may have been to vanquish evil, and apparently there is a zombie apocalypse going on outside my house, and I do apologize for that, somebody's car alarm. But that goes back to what I was saying. You can never be too prepared for such things as a zombie apocalypse, because you never know what's about to happen at any given moment. And that's what's allowed us to be a part of so many unforgettable moments, because you can never be too sure about what's going to happen from one moment to the next. And I had the chance to share in so many unforgettable moments with all of you that made this experience so worth living through for me. Finally, the zombie apocalypse has apparently unceased. Thank God for that. But getting back to what I was saying, guys, you can never be too prepared for this kind of thing, and that'd be the sole reason why I've lived in this haunted house for forever, and it was the coolest thing ever, having a chance to produce this show from a haunted house, honestly, because you never know what's going to happen from one moment to the next here. You know, I had a lot of encouragement from a lot of people. I got a phone call from one of my friends a couple of months back, and he said, you know, keep on posting your content because people are going to love you anyway, regardless of how they feel about Descendants of Zombies. They're going to love you anyway because of how you relate to people. I've had this God-given gift of being able to connect with people and relate to people on so many levels, both professionally and personally, because whatever they may have been going through, I was going through myself. You know, I never really had it easy as a broadcaster or a YouTuber. The only hope I ever had was that somebody was going to watch my video. Somebody was going to find my thumbnail. They were going to click on it. They were going to eventually subscribe here because they were a fan of Kylie Control, and they may have been a fan of Freya Sky. Because I know that there are far more people out there who may have never admitted to being a fan of Freya, but they are. I remember when I was reviewing the first half of our Stars Align World Tour, and people were coming from all over, subscribing here because they were being redirected to this channel. And when they were trying to find out about the Snow Angels music video, they were being recommended this channel because I was posting some of the best reviews and some of the greatest about the Snow Angels music video because I saw passion in it. And I saw dedication from both Freya and Malachi, who, when they looked in each other's eyes, the thing that you noticed about them were they really appreciated their friendship. They may be nothing more than friends, but they really appreciate each other, and they're there for each other every step of the way, which makes what I do as a YouTuber for over 25 years so worth it. So thank you guys for being the best of friends. Thank you for being there for each other, and thank you for being the idols and the heroes that many people see from within you. This has been the greatest honor of my life. And again, I have no idea why car alarms are going off. I guess it's because a zombie apocalypse is happening outside my door. But again, like I said, you never know what quite to expect when you watch a Jonathan Clarke on YouTube video. Oh no. I know that I have a very different perspective on Descendants and Zombies. I always have. But again, that's what's allowed me to bring these stories to life. And when I told you I was a fan of Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella, oh, you better believe I was always a fan of Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella. I used to watch that when I used to be sick. I'd be over to my grandmother's house, and she had one of those big TVs that sat on the floor. They were called floor mount TVs back in the 70s. And my grandmother always had one for over 30 years until I came along. I was born, and I always wanted to watch Disney shows on her floor mount TV. And one of the very first ones I watched was Alice in Wonderland back in 1987. And I was about 1 year old, and I didn't even know what Disney was, and I remember sitting there watching it, and I was absolutely captivated by how a girl could become friends with a mouse named Jacques, and all Jacques ever wanted was for Cinderella to achieve her dreams. No matter what he had to do, he wanted to ensure that she would achieve her dreams and believe in anything that was possible for her that could ever have been possible. All he ever wanted to do was for her to believe in herself. And I remember being absolutely enthralled, left at a loss for words on times, probably crying myself to sleep. And then years after that came Beauty and the Beast. And I remember how people were criticizing it back in 1991 for how detailed the plot may have been, but were criticizing it because of how Beast treated Belle. But what they failed to realize was 25 minutes into the movie, 25 minutes and 45 seconds precisely, he was offering her a more comfortable room. He was offering her something to eat. He was being very curious about her future with him. And, you know, that's what made it so beautiful. But people often chose to criticize it. You know, I spent many nights crying over these Disney movies because I love the stories. My sister was the same way. But I was very emotionally connected to Disney stories. And that's why I can always share with you how I truly feel about Descendants of Zombies. Descendants of Zombies has always held a very special place in my heart, as it has for many of you, because many of you have obviously felt connected to franchises that have gone on to hold a very special place in your heart. And that's why moments being like attending the Worlds Collide Tour would go on to mean so much to you. And I know that there are people out there who are saying that the second half of the tour is not going to be as miraculous or as spectacular as the first half because people like Kylie and Freya have chose to opt out, leave this one behind. But the thing that's going to make leg 2 of this tour so special is that we can come out of love and support for these new stars who are making up these franchises, who should be given just as much of a chance. And I will go down in history for being that guy who always gives them a chance, who always gives us a chance to believe in something more than ever before. I seriously think this house is haunted. Now my computer fan is kicking in. Guys, stop laughing. You're going to have to forgive me because I really do live inside of a haunted house. I've been meaning to get this checked out for forever. So if you want to see something really cool, you're probably going to want to subscribe here and help this YouTube channel go on to, once again, become everybody's favorite. I always wanted to be everybody's favorite action hero. So if Disney would have offered me the opportunity to partake in the Kingdom Cup games, I probably would have taken myself up on the opportunity to do it. Be either a knight in shining armor or a Prince Charming, because I always saw value in bringing characters to life and giving people love interests and giving people more of a story to really believe in and hold on to. Because I spent over at least, oh dare I say, 25 years studying fairy tale characters and their stories, and I always remembered taking away a greater appreciation for their stories. If there were 30 people in a room, I'd be the first one to show up and always the last one to leave. And the reason why I'd always be the last one to leave is because there was always something new to find out, always something new to learn, that I could only hope that years later I would go on to share with all of you. And I had the chance to, because many of you accepted me as a part of your lives. Many of you saw perhaps a hero in me, or at least I could only hope that somebody saw a hero in me and would always hit my subscribe button. Because what you see and hear on this YouTube channel, you're not going to get anywhere else. People are just simply going to show up with an AI-incorporated video with previously shot footage from both Descendants and Zombies thrown in there to make up a 3-minute-long video and tease the idea of Descendants 5 and Zombies 5 happening. They're not going to offer you commentary or perspectives on what they think is going to happen. I've loved talking about stories about mermaids and sharing in them with all of you because I saw something special and I saw value in mermaids. The first mermaid story I ever read was a story called Amanda Greenleaf. That was back in 1994. And it was a story about a mermaid who was under a curse at the hands of a sea witch, quite like Ariel's story from The Little Mermaid. But she was a mermaid that pretty much had to go on to achieve all of her dreams through the most unfortunate of circumstances. It was a very emotional story. It was too in-depth for me to kind of get into, but I remember reading the story and I remember how much, unfortunate twists and turns the story always had. And then many years later, here comes Ariel in The Little Mermaid, Disney's version of that story. And I had previously remembered reading the original story, the original take on The Little Mermaid. It was called The Little Mermaid. It was written by Christina Anna Farrell, and that was back in the 1800s. And I remember it being such a depressing story. And then The Little Mermaid shows up and everybody criticizes it because of what Disney did to it, because he took the dark side out of the story, the darker side. He took all the depression away from it and he replaced it with love and passion. And I remember this young girl at 27 years old, her name was Jodie Benson, and she brought that character to life in so many unbelievable ways. Nobody could sing songs like Part of Your World and Under the Sea quite like Ariel could. There have been people for years trying to attempt their own version of a cover of this song, but they could never do it quite as beautifully as what Ariel ever did. You see Ariel there as part of my YouTube backdrop. She's always been one of my favorite Disney princesses of all time. And when I saw The Little Mermaid live action a number of years back in 2023, I also thought they'd done a wonderful job. There are people who will always criticize the live action remakes such as The Little Mermaid and Snow White. They criticize Rachel Zegler to the heights of unprecedentedness, but they never really took away what she was trying to do. She had very different points of view, I get that. But she was also a wonderful person because how people felt about her was never any reflection on who she was as an actual person. And Jodie Benson, being a Christian girl who raised two beautiful children, was something that I never ever forgot because she always set them on the right path and she taught them morals and values. And that's something I always took away from her. And then many years later, her daughter had the chance to be a part of a stage production, her own version and her own telling of the story of The Little Mermaid that Jodie Benson had a chance to see. So the apple didn't fall far from the tree. These Disney princesses have held a very special place in our hearts for many years. They will continue to for many years to come. And how these kids on Descendants and Zombies are portraying the roles of Disney villains and AKs is really beautiful. The roles of heroes and villains' children, and I love it so much. And I've just loved being a part of it because even with how many characters we've already met, we still have so many characters that we have yet to meet. And I am so excited to be a part of this future with all of you. A future that I never imagined that I would have ever had the chance to be a part of, but it happened because you believed in me and you took a chance on me. I know this channel may not be for everybody because of how I present the content and how I tell these stories, but I tell you these stories in this way because I believe in them just as much as what you have for the better part of 10 years. It's been an incredible decade that I had the chance to be a part of. Now, it may have came at the expense of me living inside of a haunted house that I've never had checked out, that I seriously believe is haunted. People have told me for years this place is haunted. I hear all kinds of creepy noises in the nighttime. Things go bump all the time in the nighttime. But I've loved living here. I've lived here on this island for pretty much the majority of my very existence. And there are so many stories about mermaids that are often told here, stories about ghost ships and people who go missing all the time off in the woods berry picking or just on everyday walks. Captured by Fairies is one of the old tales that often resonates here. But again, that's why I don't love sharing my thoughts on mermaids with all of you. That's why I've always loved doing it with all of you. And if there ever was a person who believes in mermaids and believes in anything really happening, it's this guy. So you should look no further than me. I think mermaids are very beautiful characters. They're very unpredictable on times, and I don't really think we should be looking at them as the evil adversaries in the Zombies franchise, as the villains. Because within this evil franchise that we're seeing, these evil mermaids or what have you, there is innocence. There is always innocence in mermaids because they are often misunderstood. And that's what you're going to see in the zombie story coming up in Zombies 5, is how they're misunderstood. And all they've ever wanted to achieve is acceptance, because oftentimes that people have tried to tell you, the reoccurring theme in the Zombies franchise has always been acceptance. Zed and Addison faced it, Nova and Victor will face it, and these upcoming mermaids will face it. Some of the names of these mermaids are Pearl and Sandy. I think they are really beautiful names for mermaids to have. I think if I had a mermaid in my life, I would want their name to be either Sandy or Pearl, too, to be honest with you. I love the costumes. I love how the vampires' costumes have been updated. There are a lot of things to be excited about in the Zombies franchise. I know people have criticized Nova's new costume. I know people have criticized the costumes of the vampires beyond belief. But let's just give it a chance and see what happens. I've loved stories about vampires because there's such a lore and a history with vampires that you can just keep going on and on about and rant about for the rest of your life. There are so many legendary stories that have often been told about vampires. One of the most legendary figures in vampire history has often been Dracula. There's been over 200 adaptations of Dracula in the last 55 years. And that's a lot of adaptations. He's one of the most legendary and revered vampires of all time. I've always wanted to kill Dracula in an action scene for a movie. So maybe Zombies will give me the chance. By the time we get to Zombie 6, maybe Jonathan Clarke will have the chance to kick Dracula's butt in a fight scene to the death, protecting Nova. I don't know. Maybe it could happen. Hey, anything could happen. As long as you believe in yourself and you have the love and support of every fan of Descendants and Zombies. So Dracula, if you're watching this video, I am coming for you, man. Because I got to accomplish one of my greatest dreams, and that is kicking your butt in a fight scene to the death. So if you are Dracula watching this video, I am coming for you, man. Stop laughing. Guys, I know that I'm such a loser because I believe in sci-fi stories. I believe in alien abductions and people actually believing they've been abducted by aliens. I've watched the X-Files more times than I could ever remember with the lights off and thought it was real. I thought pro wrestling was real for forever. And I guess that's what forever will make me a loser. But again, that's why I love sharing these stories with you. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, you really did believe wrestling was real for so many years, didn't you? I did. And you thought that everything that you saw in Descendants of Zombies was real also, didn't you? I did. But it was never any reflection on how I thought about Freya and how I thought about Kylie, because I thought they were wonderful people. I know they knew that what they were doing was just for the purpose of a story and storytelling, but if I would have been a cast member of Descendants of Zombies, lo and behold, I perhaps would have believed that everything I was doing was real. Because you see, that's what allows you to bring this to life. You know, Kylie probably would have looked at me and said, you know, Jonathan Clarke, what are you doing? I would have looked at her and simply said, I'm trying to make this believable for everybody and make it feel more real than ever before and make it the best movie they ever watched in their life. Because I only would ever have one hope, and that would be that I would be everybody's favorite Descendants and Zombies character. I would love to be a part of these franchises, either as a creative writer or producer. I would love to have a hand in this because there's always something special to take away from who and what you believe in. And that's why I can go on for forever about this. I've gone over already, but I'm sure I can spare a couple of extra minutes. Because I've forever been appreciative of all of you. I will forever be appreciative of all of you because I know I am here because of you. You put me here. And I have dedicated the rest of my life to uploading videos for you because you are what's always mattered. And you will forever always matter to these franchises because you are forever what has made them special. And I would just like to take this opportunity to say thank you to everybody. And thank you to these incredible casts who have came from out of nowhere and changed all of our lives because they've become such a valued piece of our very existence, and because they've become such a valued piece of our very existence, they deserve to be celebrated and they deserve to be honored. So if you are a true fan of Descendants of Zombies, I trust that you will subscribe here, and I trust that you will never be afraid to let the world know how you truly feel about Descendants of Zombies, because whatever it is you are passionate about, you should continue on following your passions and continue on pursuing your dreams, because you only ever have so many moments to really make count. So I say the best way to make these moments count is to live for these moments and to honor our legacies for being the greatest fans of Descendants of Zombies of all time. I had the chance to become a part of both your soundtrack and your life, and I have all of you to thank because you guys welcomed me into your world and you allowed me to be a part of it. So thank you so much for having chosen this YouTube channel every single time as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel. I know that I must forever get on the nerves of everybody out there. I probably drive a lot of people really crazy about how I always talk about Descendants of Zombies, and there are people who wish I would go away. But thank you so much for always putting up with me and always being here and always believing in me, because every single time that you ever showed up, you were always you. And that's what made this so special for me, because there was forever and always only ever going to be one you. And I believe that no matter what you're going through, everything will come and turn out for the better. Everything will be all right. No matter what you're going through, everything will be okay, and we will get there together. Thank you so much for always being the huge lovers and supporters of Descendants of Zombies that you have forever and always been, because you are what's made this so special for me. And truly, I will never forget any of you, and you will go on to hold a very special place in my heart for many years to come, for the stories we've shared in, the stories we've obviously believed in, and the stories we have yet to be a part of and experience. And I can't think of any better way of experiencing them than by experiencing them together. Thank you so much for always watching these videos and having a special place in your heart for me and this channel, because Descendants of Zombies has become a very valued piece of our very existence, and we should forever honor and celebrate that fact, and we should do it together. Thank you so much for always and forever holding a very special place in your heart for Descendants of Zombies, and for always and forever watching these videos. Thank you so much from my heart to yours.